In a world ravaged by pandemic and tiny baby noodle arms, a shining beacon of hope radiates from your phone. That's right, it's Kern's Approved with your hosts, one you know as the King of Hearts, and the other, livin' La Vida Luna. It's Brandon Patrick and Chris Kearns.
All right. Welcome to the Kern Approved Codcast. It's a codcast. We're going to talk fish all night.
Can you dig it?
We're going to talk cod
Happy Thursday.
all night long. Is that not right, Mr. Kearns?
Oh, well, it's a little stereotypical, but, whatever.
The codcast. It is the Kern Approved podcast with your hosts, Mr. Hobsonheiser, Brandon Timney, and the Luna King, the one and only Mr. Chris Kearns. Mr. Chris Kearns, how you doing today?
It's a wonderful day, full of exciting trades. We got some special guests tonight. I'm pretty amped up. Today was one of those days, it's like Christmas Eve. It goes by at like quarter speed of normal time because you're so amped. But fortunately, work was super busy, and I was able to wheel and deal, make some great trades, so that helped time go by. And I only puked 1.5 times before the podcast today, so that was good.
Wicked. Well, welcome, guys. Our first episode, like Chris said, we got some great guests lined up for you. We're going to chat a little bit to start things off. I mean, it's been a good week. Canada, I see in the chat. That's right, Canada. Will anyone be wearing a robe? Oh, we gotta get Mr. Robe Swank here to come live on the podcast in his robe sometime. But I got a good way to start the podcast off, Kearns.
All right. I did one last time, so yeah, let's see what you got.
So I've got a package here from Mr. Brian Wallace.
Ooh.
So Brian sent me a message. And I mean, DM offers are not good on a sales post, but it's totally okay to send someone a message if you have a disc you think they're going to love and you don't want to put it up, you want to just offer it to them. And Brian did that. And on foils like hard foils and flower foils these days, like that takes an absolute stud to send you a message to give you an option to buy it before they put it up for offers. So huge shout out to Brian for that.
Now this is Brian Wallace. Swank's homeboy, Brian Wallace,
Swank's homeboy, and you guys have seen those buzzes, like.
Oh, I've seen Wallace live. We met up and played at Albion. It was me, Max, Brian Wallace, and Swank.
Oh my God! All right, are you guys ready for this shit? Oof. Here we go.
Is that a 4 mil?
Look, double 4 mil bag.
Okay.
Look at this, guys. Kearns, you can't see because it's a different webcam here, buddy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Is that the hearts?
Yeah,
Duh.
so heart bar, matte white claws, and the swirl in that is nasty. And you can just tell this thing's a bit of a bleeder, the way the plastic is textured. Sean Dixon's going to climb out of a hole from somewhere in my basement right now and probably try to grab that from me. Yeah, bin. So we thought we'd take the first couple minutes tonight and just talk a little bit about us. Tell you guys Battle of the Flags. What does Dan Moulton say? Brandon smells like maple syrup and Kern smells like bacon.
I'll take that. I'll take that all day.
All right, so we're going to do a quick little kind of just intro, guys, tell you a little bit about us, where we came from, how we got started in disc golf, and then Kearns and I have a couple questions for each other. And we're going to do 3 questions each. We prepared 5. If we got time, we'll maybe do 5. And then we've got some amazing guests tonight. We got some commercials to show you guys. And we want to thank our sponsors, too. So a quick shout out to our first sponsors right here.
That's right, on-screen talent. This week we say thank you to our title sponsor, Sweet Spot Disc Golf, and their direct competitor but cooperative co-sponsor, Wolfpack Discs. If there's one thing they both agree on, it's this: buy things from them.
That's right. Buy things from them. Sweet Spot Disc Golf.
I love I love Paul.
Wolfpack Discs, and we want to give a huge shout out to them before we do anything tonight. So, Kearns, why don't you take it
Paul's
away,
great.
buddy?
So let's go. I'm telling you guys about stuff about me. That's what
Hell
I'm doing
yeah.
here. I'm just playing coy. Well, yeah, I'm from Metro Detroit area. Some people will say they're from Detroit, but they're really from West Bloomfield, which is a major difference. I actually grew up in Redford, right outside of Detroit. And been in the metro area pretty much my whole life, except for a little stint down in Nashville, Tennessee for a year and a half, which was excellent. Wish I would have started playing disc golf when I was down there. But I didn't start playing until I was 23. It was a year after I got sober, ironically. A little fun fact. And yeah, I guess I was just looking for new stuff to do. And felt like I couldn't do anything, now that I couldn't, drink or, anything like that. So I had some friends that were getting into disc golf, and I went out, and a buddy gave me a DX Gazelle, and
Oh my God.
I played with only a DX Gazelle for about a month.
No putter.
And then, nope, just a DX Gazelle. That was it. And then we were playing at Hudson Mills, and on our way home, my buddy was like, okay, I think it's time to get you some discs, bro. So on our way home, he stopped by CJ's Party Store, and I remember walking in there, and they had like thousands of discs. I was like, what? I don't know, in my mind, I figured there was like 3 types or something. And even back then, this is like 08, I think all they had was Discraft Innova and Lightning, maybe a couple Gateway discs.
Pause for a second. You remember when no one knew where Macbeth was going, and he had that Instagram post with the Lightning disc bag, and everyone was like, oh
yeah.
shit.
Number 1 roller. So yeah, I remember I got a Ching Juju putter that had the thumbprints all around it. I got a Buzz, and I got a Valkyrie.
It's a good disc.
And
Valkyrie's
that was
a great disc to start
basically
with.
It was a good starting lineup outside of that putter, which was super weird. And then I went to an X putter, and then finally, I put my big boy pants on and got a Challenger. But yeah, it's been playing and having fun ever since, and just seems like a long time now. Like my PGA number seems it started. There's already, I gotta figure out who's got the 100,000 over mine, because it's out there now. I'm 56700, and I know there's 156,700. I'm willing to bet Brian Frawley will know when he comes on. Spoiler alert. So, but I don't know. I guess I lose track talking about myself. I'm not the best at it.
That's wicked, man. I mean, I guess my PDG number tells a different story. Mine's 113809. So I've been playing for 3 years. I only got my PDGA number 2 years ago. And in 3 years, I've absolutely just fallen head over heels in love with disc golf. And I started 3 years ago, actually just out of spite and competitiveness with my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law was like, hey man, we got this new course in our hometown of Guelph, and it's amazing, and I've been playing disc golf there. And I was like, oh, really cool. So he had these Franklin discs. So you want to talk about like flipping over and rollers and all that stuff, buddy. Those Franklin discs are just awful. And he had those
like the clothing company,
like
Franklin
Sporting Goods. So he had these Franklin discs, and
okay.
Yeah, so we were throwing them super flippy, and I went and I looked up on Kijiji for disc golf discs, because there's not a lot of stores in Canada that carry them. And there's this one guy named Henrik, local Innova rep, and Henrik met me in a Best Buy parking lot while I was there for work, and out of the trunk of his car sold me some awesome discs. And I picked up, I think to start, an AVR putt and approach, I picked up a Valkyrie as well. And I picked up what was the third disc I picked up? A Skeeter mid-range. So those were my first three. And I went to town with those three to get started, and that was a good time. And
dude, the Skeeter's a great starter
it's
disc.
a fantastic starter disc to help you throw just an absolute straight line and learn how to like get the response out of the disc. So started throwing with those. Really early realized that what is a Kijiji? You guys don't know what Kijiji is? Is that not a thing in the States? It's like Craigslist. Oh, it's
no clue.
It's like Craigslist.
No clue.
Sorry, it's a Canadian Craigslist. There you go. It's great. So I realized right away that forehand was great for me. I was a baseball player and started to forehand, really loved throwing forehand. So that was kind of what I leaned on, and I got some discs that were great for forehands: Firebird, Thunderbird.
Well, there goes my first question. Thanks a lot.
It's okay. You got to move on. We got other ones too. So ever since then, I mean, playing is one thing, but for me, the bigger part is just getting involved in the community and trying to get involved with some local stuff. Run a couple local little tournaments here and disc golf days. I ran a virtual putting league last year that some people here were a part of, and shout out to Mike Gambini. I'm playing in his this year, so I'm going to take some people from the group down here. If none of y'all have heard about it, give Gambini a shout. We want some more people for that putting league. So Gambini, shout out to you, buddy. And it's good. I've just love it so much. Any chance I get now, I'm out playing disc golf. So that's me. So why don't we go question for question, Kerns? You start. And
dig it.
We'll go back. We'll go
you
back.
Want me to start? Okay.
Yeah. And for all you guys watching, I know Kern's videos jumping. It's getting like a little big and then small and big and small. It's all good. We'll figure that out. I think it's just the bandwidth right now. So I'll see if I can stop that from happening. But I don't want to experiment with that during the stream.
I'm kind of like Vision. I can just change my mask at will. So I'm just flexing.
Absolutely love that show. Oh goodness.
All right, I'm gonna throw you a softball.
All right.
So I'm gonna start you off easy. Pulp or no pulp?
Oh, absolutely no pulp.
Freak.
No
Whatever, man.
Pulp for me. Pulp is just like, why? Why do you need it? Like, what's it there for? It's so.
Why do you need
extra.
100 heart foil discs?
It's extra too. I never said it's not extra. But oh man, pulp. Oh, you're a pulp guy, eh? Jeez.
All right.
Please.
All day.
All right.
All day.
Your first question, Kearns. If you had to play around with one single disc, what is that one single disc going to be and why?
I know a lot of you guys are thinking Tour Series Luna, but it's the Buzz. I'd go with a Buzz. I know. Well, am I playing a long course? Am I playing Pro Tees? Like
you are playing. Let's say it's just like a 5,500, 6,000 foot 18-hole course, just standard. Maybe a couple par fours mixed in, but mostly like 300 foot par threes.
Oh, Tour Series Luna. Yeah.
Tour Series Luna.
That's the one.
All right.
Yeah. If it's a one mold or one disc, I might go back and forth between that and a Petamoody just because it feels a little better grip for the putts. But
you can't see it right now, so
I'll go Tour Series.
So and I lost your video, Chris.
That's weird because I'm in Do Not Disturb.
Maybe I'll just turn your camera off and turn it back on for me there. It's all good. There we go. We got you back. It's getting so big, so small.
Anyways.
I don't know what's happening here. You are like a tiny little morsel on the screen right now. Sorry for all this craziness, guys. All right, your question, Kearns.
All right, so mine is... Okay. Who's your biggest hero or inspiration?
Ooh, biggest hero or inspiration? That's a great question.
Besides Gretzky.
It's actually not Gretzky. I'd probably say my biggest hero or inspiration is I'm gonna go with the cheesy one. It's gonna be my dad. My dad is a pretty great guy. I saw him take a career that he was absolutely in love with and like sacrifice it to be there for his family, which is a pretty sweet thing to do. My dad was a musician. He was singing on tour for Phantom of the Opera for the Canadian touring production of that. Did a couple shows in the States too. And he stopped doing that for a while after me and my sister were born. So pretty cool. And yeah, I'll go with my dad.
Nice. Fun fact, I've seen Phantom twice, once in Toronto, the other time in Detroit.
That's pretty cool. In Toronto at the Pantages Theater.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hell yeah, buddy.
Yes, sir.
All right. Kearns, this is really funny for me. Like your video is just like you're there in the middle, and then all of a sudden you're on a star in the flag.
Oh, I just looked.
Yeah.
I'm okay with.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know why it's jumping around like this. Dale says my dad's a great man. Dale knows my dad. Thanks, Dale. Oh man, this is so jumpy. This is so weird. It's all good. We'll figure it out next time. All right, my question. Chris Kearns. What is the one thing that you absolutely will not have on your pizza?
Ooh. That I will not have on my pizza. This is going to be a curveball, but I do not like sausage on my pizza. Just the greasiness of it. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense because I like pepperoni. I mean, I'm not an animal, but I just, sausage. It just, I'd prefer not. I'd rather have pineapple. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
This podcast should be called The Breakup. That's disgusting.
Whatever, man. You remember on our, was it the 5K giveaway? I busted out a hardcore fun fact that I know cut a lot of Canadians right to the core, but Hawaiian pizza was created by a Canadian. That's fact.
I don't want to hear those facts, Kearns.
Hawaiian pizza is pineapple, so whatever.
Those facts are garbage.
Truth hurts, dog. Garbage. Truth hurts. Okay. Here's one for you. Here's one for you. If you had to marry another admin for our group, who would it be?
If I had to marry another admin from our group, oh, this is a great question. I'm gonna go with the answer no one's expecting. You ready for this one? I think it'd have to be Gary Jacobson. I mean, I love Sean. I love Sean Dixon, but I feel like Sean
security.
would never be able to just like give it to me real and like tell me when I'm doing it wrong. He's always so nice, Sean. You're such a nice guy. I feel like Gary. I've seen Gary get mad. Like I've seen Gary when people break the rules, guys. Like, don't cross Poppy. So I'd pick Gary. Gary, will you marry me?
I like that. Actually, I foot faulted when we played together at Delwood, and he threw my putter into the creek. So I wasn't gonna talk about it, but oh well.
Oh, all right, Kearns. I had a similar question for you. So, marry, cuddle, kill. Our admin group. And you can kill me for asking you that question.
No. I would marry Max. For sure. First of all, he lives like 20 minutes from me, so there's no major relocation district. So that's just practical. And then, we can argue and fight and talk trash with the best of them, and we're good an hour later. So that's the marry. Oh, cuddle. I think I'd go with you.
Yeah, buddy.
We both have good beards. I like when you hug and you rub beards. I call that buggling. I've actually done that with Brian Frawley. It's nice. So, and I'd let you be Big Spoon every once in a while, maybe. And then kill. Oh, who's got the most TS Lunas besides me? Maybe
No,
Carter.
I think you just killed Carter for that Midnight Buzz collection, man.
Trade those for a lot of Lunas.
Yeah, lots of Lunas.
Yeah,
Carter's.
I'd take Carter out.
I mean, if we're talking value, it might be Walter, but the Vault. I mean, between both of them, you could just do a double hit, and then we love you guys. I mean, those are some nasty vaults. Plus,
Yeah.
I want Walter's rug anyways too. So
everyone's trying to put their feet on his rug, man.
All right. Well, we're going to move on from some questions. Actually, we're going to cut to our first commercial break, and when we come back from our first commercial break, we're going to have our first guest on the screen, Mr. Papa Wolf, Brian Frawley. Chris is going to ask him some questions, and they're going to jump open and close and big and small in their windows, and I'm just going to sit here and laugh at it because there's nothing else I can do until I figure it out next time.
I think it's hilarious.
So here we go. Kind of our first commercial for Wolfpack Discs, and we will be back with you guys in just a second.
You know that sound. That's the sound of grabbing a
Wolfpack
at the end of a long week. There's nothing better than cracking open a cold
Wolf?
and feeling that buzz
That's Discraft. Discraft Buzz.
start to take hold. At the end of a long workday, at the end of a long week, reach for us.
Wolfpack Discs.
We'll be there for you.
They will be there for you. 100% they will. Kearns, you're the only one jumping. Brian looks great in his screen. Brian, what's up?
Hello, podcast world, or Codcast world, depending on who is listening for the whole thing.
That statement's a little fishy.
Yes.
Statement's a little fishy to me.
Oh my.
Dad jokes. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, first of all, for people that don't know, I don't know where you've been if you don't, but very excited, Brian, to have you. Thank you for being the first person to raise your hand and say, I'll support the podcast and be a sponsor for our first 4 episodes. It's just exciting to have a good friend on the podcast, episode 1. And I've known you since I think it's like 2014, maybe, or that Gateway into the Woods challenge at Bonnybrook.
Yeah. So probably 2013, 2014, that range.
Yeah, I think I still have that a pack I showed you. But
Yeah.
So if you just want to introduce yourself to everybody, I know you had some exciting news recently. If you want to, bring that up, maybe talk about that for a minute too. I don't want to say it for you. I'll let you unveil that.
And Brian,
All right, good, 'cause
your
I
video
might-
froze too. If you want to just flip your video on and off, I don't know why that's happening. but
Oh
It's all
man,
good. I know I'm making things so hard for everyone. Jeez Louise.
I had to
There we
click
go.
one extra button. That was so much work. So so Kern, thanks for the intro. By the way, the person that has 100,000 numbers after you is Denton Kimberly from Anniston, Alabama.
Ooh, Alabama Slammer.
So there you go. So hey, I'm Papa Wolf or Brian Frawley, depending on when you met me, but most people on the internet know me as Brian Wolf. I've been playing disc golf since 2008 when I moved to Michigan and had to install a course with my best friend and co-owner of Wolfpack Discs, Richard Engelman or Dick Engelman, and pretty much fell in love right away. We both worked at a summer camp. Played 1 round of 9 holes with a whole bunch of 10-year-olds. Didn't think the sport was that fun. Played with 10-year-olds. They made it so much more fun. I laughed. I cried. There was fart jokes. There was really bad shots. Everything you need to make a good round. So Dick and I went out and bought some discs right away. I remember my first disc was a DXT Rex because I thought it was cool. Much like you, Patrick, I was a power 4-hander. So, and by power, I mean easy 175.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. Yeah, and then my next disc after that was a Black Challenger, so I definitely jumped pretty fast into the putting game. I've been playing competitively since 2009, May 2009. Played well over 140 events, TD'd probably that same amount as well, and we started Wolfpack Disc in 2009. We are legally registered as a promotions company, not a sales company. So Sweet Spot would
Ooh.
not be our competitor. Your local event planner would be our competitor, like my wife, who runs her own event planning company. Um, it's not weird at all. We fight for weekends to see who can run events. It's cool. She wins, I lose. But yeah, I've been around with a website since 2015. We sell Discraft discs on our website because we have a wonderful partnership with Discraft, but we sell a lot more clothes and hats, and we get a lot of our clothing and hats from wonderful Paragon Disc Golf and Miles T-shirt company, big supporters of Disc
Shout
Golf
out
Pro
to
Tour,
Miles
and
for
I
doing our group
believe your
pages.
most recent. Yeah, there you go. That's what I was trying to lead into. You beat me to it. Nice job. So I have moved all over the great state of Michigan, currently in Coopersville, outside of Grand Rapids, where my new full-time job is. And I am the brand manager for Great Lakes Disc and greatlakesdisc.com, which is awesome because so many people would love a full-time job in disc golf, and I have it, and it's wonderful. I sell frisbees, I talk discs, I research players to sponsor for the various teams I manage between Paragon, Wolfpack, and Great Lakes, and it's a ton of fun. So I definitely play less than I did 10 years ago, but that's what happens when you have two kids, and disc golf is a job too. So sometimes it's cool to just go home and watch Blown Away on Netflix or something.
Nice. How do you balance all that?
Turning my phone off like it is right now. That's a huge thing for me. When I get messages for like 4 different companies, all hours of the day, things like that, that do not disturb button is pretty powerful. And for me, it's taken a lot of small victories. So like if I can hit 9 holes on the way into work or the way home from work, just get some extra reps in. My brother-in-law, brother Joel, who you beat in the
Love Joel.
match play championship a few years ago. Um, he's really cool at shooting me a message and like, hey, when can you get 9 in? When can you do this? And that's how disc golf is still fun for me, is playing with cool people like that.
Nice. I will say, going back to the first time I met you at that tournament, the Into the Woods Challenge at Bonnybrook. Rest in peace. I wish that course came back. But the memory that sticks out the most is the players meeting. And at this point in time, I was not really with Washtenaw County Glow. I was not a TD yet. And I loved your players meeting because, one, it started off with, hey, if you get butt hurt easily, this might not be the event for you. And
Yep.
you just set the fun tone right away, which for me, that was one of my first events, period. So
Awesome.
I felt a lot more comfortable. And then you played the national anthem, which was awesome. And then you took a nice sip of whatever beverage you had in your plastic Wolfpack disc cup. And it was just impressionable early on for me because I was, before that, obviously casual, and then I was intimidated by a tournament atmosphere. And so it was kind of a first glimpse to me, like, okay, I can balance the competition and the fun.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I've always really appreciated about you. You're one of my favorite people to play a tournament with.
Thank you.
Furious Squirrel a couple of years ago.
That was a blast. I really appreciate that. And Rich and I have had the same attitude since we started. We didn't open the company to make money. We opened it to provide entertainment and events that which people feel comfortable at, people feel welcomed at, and people really don't take too serious. Like it's weird to say, like I run probably the second biggest B tier in the state of Michigan. I think it's like just under 300 people with WC Glow, which is
Yep.
Kearns and Scott. And it's weird to run such a big event like that, but also like try to, hey, we really want you to come and have fun, and please don't come and take it too serious and kick bags and things like that, because we're definitely not about that. We have offered full refunds to people right before tee off that maybe don't like our strategy or our policy on. We're here for fun, and definitely there's a lot of serious people in the world, and there's plenty of serious events to go play, but for us, it's more about the fun and welcoming people to the woods or the field for the day.
Yeah, don't come to Mustard Cup.
Yeah, for those that know. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, because Brandon and I were talking earlier, and he said you did a great post about goal setting, which I did not read. So maybe you could tell me about it.
I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, but for
You,
me,
you
goals.
said a post about your rating, about setting a goal for
Oh,
specifically about setting a
yeah.
goal for your rating.
Yeah. So I did. I asked everybody where they wanted their rating to be at the end of 2021. And I'll be honest, like, so I've played 2 sanctioned events already this year. All 4 rounds are under my rating. And I came out with like unbridled confidence, the most confidence I've had for any season. I've been putting in the shop every day, putting with Kyle Klein, name drop every day.
Nice.
And really like came out thinking, man, I'm just gonna perform all 4 rounds so far that I've thrown. So that last rating update that came out, I just kind of wanted to ask, the world and the Facebook world, and especially like, the people that I follow and communicate with, like, hey, where do you want to be? Because I know where I want to be, and I'm failing. Where are you going to be? And it actually opened up a few conversations with people about, what they're doing to kind of strategize, whatever word I was trying to use there.
I like it.
To get to that spot. So, yeah, I'm, again, underperforming, but I'm still the Paul Macbeth of fun. I challenge anyone to have more fun than me on the course, because we're so unbelievably blessed to be able to go and play a game in the woods or a field when so many people don't have an opportunity to have fun like we do.
Oh, for sure. Well, if anything, our sport's been boosted by a pandemic, which is weird to think about. But so what's your approach to setting your disc golf goals performance-wise?
It's weird for me. I almost have 2 types of goals. I have the goals that are on the course, and then I have the goals that are online or off the course, things like that. So my goals on the course, I always feel like I'm a really confident putter. I feel like I can make any putt that I walk up to, and that's really strange for an AM3 player to say. And yep, I've been playing tournaments for 12 years, and I'm still an AM3. I'm okay with that. But when I get to some of the bigger, longer distance courses, like that's where my fault is. Like I just don't throw that far. So for me, it's like forcing myself to do some field work, forcing myself to not go play the easier course if I have a choice between tournaments, like go and play the harder course and challenge myself. Especially for someone like me who a tournament might be practice for me. Like I don't get a lot of spare time outside of 9 holes, maybe once a week before I get into the shop. So a lot of that practice is a tournament for me, and kind of smaller tournaments to practice for bigger ones like Ledgestone or Western New York Amateurs or something like that.
Yeah. Nice. And Brandon, do you have anything else you wanted to jump in on?
No, it's wicked.
I know you were pretty fired
my
up
first
to-
encounter with Brian was pretty sweet. Actually, I sent him a disc to hang on the shop wall. It was one of our Canadian Nationals escapes with the landscape with the great wolf in it, and thought it was pretty appropriate. So Phil Delaney sent me a
Nice.
picture of himself at Great Lake Discs with that thing a couple weeks ago to show me that it's still there. But yeah, no, it's super exciting to see what you do for disc golf, man. And all I've ever heard, I also have some experience. I got to know Aaron Payne well last year. I think he was on Team Wolfpack.
Yeah,
and I know he
awesome.
went through some stuff last year, and I went through some similar stuff as I shared with the group a little earlier this week. So I got to know him well, and he just told me a lot about what you guys do and just the fun you guys bring to the community. And that's what I'm all about too. I think that's so fantastic. And it's what it's all about. It's what makes disc golf more accessible. It's what's making this sport grow and boom so much, right? So it's awesome you guys are doing that.
As a fun fact, did you know there's actually a small run of discs with wolf hair in the plastic?
With real wolf hair?
Yeah. So before I was on Underground, Before Wolfpack had a partnership with Discraft, I threw all Gateway, and I was in Bowling Green with Dick, and we met up with Dave and Dom from Gateway at the time, and said, "Hey, if we send you wolf hair, will you make us wizards with wolf hair in it?" And they said, "Sure." And we got it done, and after 9 they stopped production because the smell of burning hair in the shop was so bad that people were like vomiting, according to Dom.
Oh my god.
So if you are like one of the 6 that have one of those discs that I've sold over the years, you better put that in your personal vault, because there ain't never gonna be another one of them.
That's amazing.
Well, Brian, thank you so much for coming on today. And I think what we're going to do, we're having some trouble with the network. So instead of the round table at the end, we'll probably just cut back to Chris and I at the end. So we want to thank you so much for coming on, for your sponsorship. What I'm going to do right now for everyone watching, how many of us are there? There's 18 people. So y'all got a good chance. And I don't know if people are seeing this right now because the network is cutting in and out and it's a little choppy. I got to figure this out for next week. Here we go. We're rolling. I'm going to get everyone in the chat to write a certain word, and we're going to run a giveaway. So just give me 1 second here.
All right.
The keyword should be pretty obvious. It's going to be Wolfpack. One word.
I was going to guess maple dip.
You were going to guess maple dip. Well, you would have guessed absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
So that keyword is Wolfpack. WOLFPACK. And if you are in the chat right now, I want to see everyone type in Wolfpack. And from everyone that does, we are going to assign a number to one of our winners. Assign a prize, sorry, to one of our winners. Wolfpack? Question mark doesn't really work, Paul Blair. Wolfpack. I don't know if an exclamation mark will work too. These guys are screwing it up already. Why are you adding punctuation, guys? What the hell? Oh, man.
Oh, Max spelled it wrong. He said bagger. I don't get that.
All right, it works.
Here we
works,
go. Now they're
it works
in.
with punctuation. It works with punctuation.
Oh, the Nid's watching.
What's up, Nid?
That's my... That was a fun interview. Dude, we talked for an hour.
And Brian, if you can hear me right now, it might help if you hang up on Skype to free up some of the network. Mr. Brian Wolf, thank you so much. He heard me.
Love you, Papa Wolf.
That was such a
man.
freaking awesome interview. So cool to have Brian here. All right, we got more people typing in Wolfpack. We're going to give it a couple more seconds for these entries of Wolfpack. And then we're going to pick a winner. So our winner.
Sarah Sennett's the instant winner. She said baby arm.
Did she also say Wolfpack? Okay, she did because it entered her too. All right, we got 12 people. Wolfpack, I'm rolling it. And our winner, I'm re-rolling it. Didn't work. There we go. Nathan Pease. Nathan Pease. P-E-A-S-E. Nathan.
Oh,
You are our
nice.
first winner from our sponsored prize from Wolfpack Discs, and that is a Wolfpack Discs hat. Is it not, Mr. Kearns? I believe.
That is.
Yes.
And actually, me and Nathan Pease, that was my first trade today for
Oh,
trade
wicked.
day.
What a
With
segue.
Nathan.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Well, Nathan,
Yeah.
congratulations, buddy. We're going to cut to another commercial right now really quick, and when we come back from the commercial, we're going to have some disc golf story time with Mr. James White. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be
Hell
back
yeah.
very soon.
Gather round, children. I, Gandalf, will tell you a tale of the times before. Of a legendary place, the sweetest spot in all the land, where circles of plastic would appear, glowing from our screens, and with the ritual of the cart, they would appear days later at our doors. The richest colors, the finest discs, and the kindest people. Oh, it truly was a sweet spot for disc golf. Some say this place still exists, It's vault sealed, the treasures glittering inside, awaiting the great prophecy of Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And that comes again. I hope you will be there.
Sweet Spot Disc Golf. So good, our advertising department writes fan fiction about us.
Sweet Spot Disc Golf. Thank you guys so much for the sponsorship of the podcast. And ladies and gentlemen,
sweetest.
on the screen, you see him live, Mr. James White. What is up?
Good evening. Well, that was
Welcome, sir.
thank you. So, yeah, it's since we're flexing PDGA numbers, how does 30557 sound to you?
Woo!
That's right. That's right. 2006. But you know, I can remember when that felt like so humongous, 5 digits. You know, our we have a legendary pro here in Columbus, Ohio, Brad Schick, who's 4 digits, and he looks way younger than me. I don't even know his age, but
He's one of those guys whose parents signed them up for a PDGA number when they were young. And I have a friend.
Yeah.
I have a friend who just had a baby, and as a gift, someone bought her a PDGA number. And I was like, "That's a cool gift," but like, it's like what, you buy it the first year, then you leave it inactive for like 15, 16 years. That's cheating. Like, I think that's cheating. I don't know about you guys, but
It's like a couple's tattoo. I don't know. Not a fan.
Brad certainly is wasn't cheating, and he playing well over 1,000 rated rounds still, and his ratings well over that, and he's still producing here and raising up a lot of good talent, making everybody in our town better. That's for sure.
Brad's a friend of
Better
ours.
men,
Brad's
too.
a friend of
And
ours
women.
up in the north too, frequenter of the Toronto Island Open. Actually, he came up here, and him and Zach actually traveled together. I think him and Zach are pretty good friends, and him and Zach came up to the TIO a couple years, and Zach told me some stories about that. And Brad's an awesome guy. I think he actually played 1 year with me at the well, not with me because I'm nowhere close to MPO. Played at the Christie the Christie Lake Spring Fling in Hamilton, Ontario. Lots of people, I think, from Upper New York and stuff used to come across too. Shout out to those tournaments, and pretty cool. So yeah, Brad is definitely a friend of ours in the north too. So any love to Brad is good love.
Well, let me get into a little bit of a story. You I think that's why you guys had me on here.
Hell yeah.
Not for my look. I'm sure of that. So you know, there's a thing that people ask me. They're like, you know, a lot of my stories are me approaching people or me getting, you know, one of the stories that I told on YouTube recently was about meeting how I met Jay Redding. You know, it's I don't know if anyone's old enough to remember this Mean Joe Green Coke commercial where this kid's walking down the hallway and there comes his injured idol, Mean Joe Green, who had just lost the game, and the kid offers him a Coke and Mean Joe throws him a jersey. I mean, this was one of those moments for me, a big hero of mine, Jay Redding, Yeti, and a lot of people see him, love him, and he's a legend. And it was just, I have learned earlier in my life through a lot of other scenarios and a lot of other fields that I was in, that there's a lot of missed opportunities for being shy. And there's something about this sport, something about being able to approach people. And there's no other sport that I can think of where you can just, as a regular guy, walk up, you know, at a tournament and start talking to somebody. And, you know, check out my story, Jay Redding, if you're a fan of his. And you not because I need the views, but because that story needs to be heard. And Jay's a cool guy. But anyway, let me tell you another one real quick. 1993. I was 21 years old, and I lived in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I was a huge cycling fan. And I am easy to remember Lance Armstrong's age because I'm the same age as him. He was 21. I was 21. He was well known in the United States, hadn't won any Tours de France. Everyone knows who Lance Armstrong is and what he did. But back then, he was an up-and-coming superstar. And he rode for a team called Motorola. And there was a bike race in Pittsburgh, the Thrift Drug Classic, where our best United States team was there competing against other U.S. teams before they went to Europe. This was just a one-day simple race. I promise we'll get to disc golf here. This relates. It relates. And this is a, well, I guess I should preempt this story with, it's not always good to be aggressive and to walk up to somebody. So we're at this bike race. One of his teammates is actually, at the time, was a way bigger star than Lance. His name was Andy Hampston, and he rode for 7-Eleven, was the U.S. cycling team that competed in Europe in the big races. And he was the first man to ever win a stage in the Tour de France, the first American. And he won the most iconic stage called Alpe d'Huez, a climbing straight up this mountain. And it was the middle of July, and it is a horrendous snowstorm on the top. And he was this huge hero. So Andy Hampston, the great American hero cyclist, is in town racing in that race. And after the race, there are cars lined up on both sides of the street and team vans. And it looks just like, if anyone has ever watched the Tour de France and saw all the team buses and just the entourage that is. But like it is at disc golf tournaments, there's just people everywhere. There's no one. It's very much like it was in Europe. And I'm walking over to see who I can see, and there's Andy Hampston standing right there, wiping his arms down with alcohol. They use rubbing alcohol on their arms after the race. He's walking, and I'm like maybe 40 feet from him, and I'm like, there's my chance. I have my pamphlet, whatever. I'm going to get him to sign, whatever. And I start walking right towards him, and I get maybe 20 feet away. He's facing me, I'm facing him. And he takes his shorts and he pulls them straight down to his ankles. And he is standing there, buck-ass naked, with no clothes on, in the middle of the day in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, with about 80 people. Very European. This is what they do in Europe. They don't care. And I am 20 feet away, and here is this naked man in front of me. And I am just like, and we're making eye contact, and I'm like,
yeah, you're in circle one, bro.
Quick left, yeah. And I'm like, oh, I'm actually going over to check the tires on this thing over here, this big vehicle. Let me pretend like I'm checking tire pressure over here on this
big
camper.
Vehicle, James?
So I never got a signature, but I got a good memory and a picture somewhere. But that was it's not always safe to approach people like that. But the thing that always intrigues me, and the thing that I am really interested in, is personality types. And I love categorizing people by their personality and how they play. And I have opinions about, a couple of our best players that we know. Paul and Ricky, for instance, are opposite in this regard. If you're like me, I'm an extrovert, right? Now let's talk about extroverts and introverts. I'm an extrovert, which means, for some of us, one of the famous lines is, you don't know what you're thinking until you hear yourself say it. If you've ever been in trouble because you said something and something slipped out, you're probably an extrovert. Or you're the type of person that's totally affected by your surroundings. If you're a person that walks into a room and you're like, oh, it's cold. Oh, it's hot in here. Oh, I need a sweater. Oh, it's dark. Oh, it's light. It's bright. Oh, if you're that, you're an extrovert. And the introverts, the extroverts are great to have at parties, right? They're fun. They're out there. They're not, neither one of these is better than the other. Neither one of them is, they both have their strengths and weaknesses. Introvert, very, very different than that, right? The introvert, the extrovert like me is not who you want to go to for a personal, deep answer about a problem you're having in your life, right? But the introvert, a very good friend of mine, for instance, things are internalized, things are thought about. They never say the wrong thing. And whatever is said from a deep introvert, it was meant to be said, right? So I'm riding in the car from a tournament, Idlewild, in fact.
I love
With
Idlewild.
with my introvert friend, and I'm talking the whole way down, talking. And then my buddy, I'm like, you ask him a question and there's just silence. And I'm like, well, eventually the answer comes out, right? And it's very profound usually. We got in a conversation on the trip back where, you know, I had thrown I injured my elbow on a forehand. And then there was a shot like four or five holes to go in the tournament. There's a really important shot that we need to get up and down to improve our position in the tournament, cash or not cash, that kind of thing. And I threw a forehand as hard as I could, and I tore a muscle in my arm. And I could see it swelling. I could see it swelling and bulging, and we still finished, and we're driving in the car, and my friend was like, after a lot of thought and stuff, and he was like, you know, I thought that was cool that you stayed there and that you played. And we talked about masculinity. And he started talking to me about his, you know, how he feels about his kids. He has a daughter. I know you guys have children. I have 3 daughters. And he was like, you know, and he had a new son who was 3 months old. And he's like, you know, my daughter, it was always natural. The moment she came out, I just knew, you know, every time she cries, I just want to rescue her. I'm just here to save her. And he goes, but my son, whenever he started crying, I was like, it feels different. And I was sitting there, and then there was this long pause, long silence. 3-month-old son, he goes, to be honest with you, I'm kind of having trouble respecting him. So if you have children, you may find that funny. But so that's an introvert versus an extrovert. And I have a theory that Ricky and Paul are these 2 extremes. 2 of the best players that we have in the world are extremely different. And I met both those guys. I approached both of them on the course. Absolute. Ricky, I'm sure, is an extrovert. Paul, I'm sure, is a deep introvert, and that's not a question. And they both have their strengths in when it comes to playing. And we'll talk about that at some other time. But just the way that I approached them and the way that I talked to them kind of showed the difference. Ricky, it was in a tournament in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Flying Disc Open. A couple of us had met him in Columbus at a tournament, and kind of, he's so friendly and so open and so outgoing that we kind of befriended him a little bit. And he was like, hey, what's up? To where when you saw him in Pittsburgh, you're like, he probably remembers. He's that open and warm and friendly. And so he's playing the tournament and he's destroying it. And he was winning by a good bit. And we're following around because our portion was done. So my friend and I are following Ricky around, and we're just, everyone is aware of everything. Because if you've ever been in one of these big tournaments with these guys, you know who's what score and what's happening. And Ricky's winning by a large margin. And Ricky's walking up the hill all happy. And we're like, hey, Rick. And he's like, oh, hey, guys. And we're like, how's it going? And he's like, I'm winning. And he like announced it like it was this something we didn't already know. We're like, yeah, Rick, we know.
Yeah.
We know. But that was a perfect extrovert example. But my story with Paul Macbeth is he was playing in our big tournament here in Columbus multiple times. And that's the thing about disc golf is you're like, I could just go stand next to someone. I could just follow them around. I'm like, this is Paul Macbeth right here. At the time, multiple world champ. I don't remember how many, but I can just walk next to him in the tournament. And if he looks my way, maybe I could. And just to see the way he plays, the shot making, the things that was the first time I think I really understood the difference between the players like them and us and everybody else. And there was this one moment where, hole 12 at the West Side course in Columbus, it's on the water. He throws a shot down there. He has like 50 feet, flat putt with a lake on the left, wind blowing off the lake, 12 to 18 mile an hour winds gusting off the side of the lake, and he's got a 50-foot putt at the basket that I have tried to make. I have been down there. I've played it. You just don't make that putt. It doesn't get made. And he just lined it up and hit it like it was, and didn't even show any expression at all. And I'm so close to him that I go, man, that was amazing. That putt is not makeable. And he looked at me like, with no, like, surprised to hear that. There was no, like, he wasn't offended that I said that. He wasn't surprised. He wasn't anything. He was surprised. He was surprised that I saw it that way. And there was just this sort of, he just was never up or down or anything. It was so impressive, really impressive thing to see. If you've ever have a chance to be around that level of player in person, you cannot watch YouTube videos and see what they do and grasp it until you see them play on your courses or throw courses that you've played on. Anyway, I'll shut up. But
no need for that.
I'm really I'm really into the just how personality plays in, and I have a lot of been watching these guys closely for a long time, and Paul uses his introverted nature to his advantage like nobody else. And if you hear him talk at Brian Earhart's new podcast, you will.
Oh, it's so good. Let's give a shout out to that.
Awesome podcast.
Amazing. I saw your post, James. I think it was your post talking about if you want to hear just, and honestly, I went back and listened to all the previous episodes before that too. And man, he's so good at asking questions. And Earhart, I've always thought Earhart was a cool guy. I saw him on some lives with Paige Pierce when Pierce first signed with Discraft, and they were hanging out, throwing shots off Earhart's deck to baskets in a field beside his house, like through a window, a removable window. They were like in the house throwing shots out of this window, out of the sliding door window to these two baskets trying to ace. And just their banter, you could just tell he's as real as it gets. And those podcasts are great. So
I remember, I think he was the first one to get real technical when he does announcing of the tournaments, when I forget who's he with, Gatekeeper, maybe GKeeper, whoever he announces for, whenever he is doing the analyzing, the amount of technical detail that he includes is just like Chris Collinsworth for football, or Tony Romo even. You get a real insider view, a real pro level kind of take on the technical side, which is really interesting.
Definitely not a Joe Buck type.
Right.
So I will relate. So I live about 35 minutes from the Toboggan, which is where we have the U.S. Amateur Disc Golf Championship and we have D-Glow. And last year, we have a sanctioned singles league, Huron Valley sanctioned singles, and it's one of the premier leagues. It's really, really great. My buddy Doug McIntosh runs it. So we play a sanction league round on the Toboggan, and it's right before D-Glow. Well, we're getting ready to tee off, and Calvin Heimberg, Paul Macbeth, Brody Smith walk up. And we're like, oh, some guys.
So.
And I was like, and this may be the lamest fanboy moment I had all last year, which I was like, I took a picture like far away, with them in the back. I was like, oh, you guys might ever do a selfie? And they're like, oh yeah, cool. And I was like, what's up, Paul? I was like, I'm a admin on the Macbeth Pierce page. And he was like, oh, that's awesome. And in the back of my mind, I was like, does he even know? But
the what?
We were gonna let them play through. And they were like, no, go ahead and play your league round. They knew we were playing a league. They were like, no, go play your league round. We're just practicing. So for 14 holes in the Toboggan, I kept looking back and just watching them throwing these practice shots. Like I knew on, I think it's hole 9, that they were going to throw roller shots up the hill because they were practicing them. And I was like, I just like you said, like when you watch them do it in person, like my brain short circuits, like what is happening? How is that possible? It's phenomenal.
Yeah, like how could this person that's basically my size and my strength, like there's something, that's It's
Not
impressive.
even my size. You want to see like someone super small like Kim Scott Wood. I had to get a dig in there with the compliment, right? So honestly though, guys, like it's crazy. Like you're talking about real pros throw. Kim can throw with the best of them. So we have a local course called E.T. Seton, and they got one set of tees, short pins, long pins. The pins move. They cycle them throughout the seasons. There's one par three, sorry. That's like 425 feet uphill. And none of us reach it ever. It's always a par. It's always a par. And a lot of the time a bogey if you don't have a good upshot. And the first time I played with Kim there, he's like, I'm going to throw my understable force. I was like, what the hell is an understable force? Like, he's like, oh, and he throws a force and it just flips up flat and gets even a little bit of turn. And he's putting them past the 420-foot uphill basket. And Kim is not a big guy by any means. And what it showed me is exactly what you said, James, that precision, that technicality, that it's like Anthony Barella, I think, actually is one of the coolest examples of this. When he's throwing a disc, it looks like there's this like glass shelf that the disc is resting on the entire time he's throwing it. And it's this smooth plate and this crazy smooth line. And you see that and you realize that the grunt and the huck face and none of that means anything when it comes to the technicality that these people have. And playing with Kim, it's so much fun and it makes me better. And it's so cool to see shots being executed that make you think like, man, like I didn't know someone could, I've seen it on videos, but I didn't know I would see someone make that shot on my course. That's when you said that, James, that was a big thing for me. It's like, man, I can't believe that just happened. And it's so cool to see in person.
Totally.
Yes.
There was a guy named, I live in Columbus, Ohio, and there was a woman that moved in next to me who was a student at OSU, and her parents had purchased the house for her to live in because she was working on her PhD, and she saw that I had a bag of discs with me, and she goes, hey, you play disc golf? And I said, yeah. She goes, well, my father was like, helped invent that sport. And I was like, yeah, whatever. No, okay. And she was like, no, really. His name's John Kirkland. Some people know him as the Frizz Whiz. He was a big Frisbee guy, but I think his, it's arguable between him and Steady Ed. Like they both had a big hand in from the early days. And if you look up John Kirkland now and you look on YouTube at his collection and he was there in the early days of Frisbee and everything. Well, I said, well, yeah, if he ever comes, he hooked me, he looked me up and said, I'm coming from California to Ohio. You should take me to a course and let's play, since you play. And I'm like, okay. And he's like in his 60s at the time. And I'm like, okay, dude, whatever. And I'm, just a young player who's, not that young, but I had only been playing 4 or 5 years and take him to our course. And there's a shot where, I never played longs. He's like, oh, we have to play longs. It's just what we're doing. It was like, okay, sir, and just this old guy. And I just didn't know what I was getting into. And to see a man in his 60s step up to this hole 3, which is it's a huge, it's about 375. People that can throw forehand that long can get it. Me, to get there, I have to throw a roller. And it finishes on the right. Hoover Reservoir, hole 3 longs. I think it's about 375. And he's standing there looking at it. And I'm like, we don't see a lot of people get there, so you better get out something. And he pulls out the weirdest looking thing I've ever seen. And it's a putter, and it's called a Super Puppy. And I mean, it is more rounded and weird. Look, it's like more extreme than an Ultra Star. It's small. Wow. It looks like a smaller Ultra Star, and it is so deep dish. What's that Discraft disc that's putter that's really deep? Not the rep, but what is the name of that one putter? I don't know. It's super deep. I mean, like double the depth of a. So he pulls this thing out, and I'm like, dude, this is. And he's just staring at the hole for a second, and he just tosses this perfect Anheuser that floats and it just lands and it stops 3 feet from the basket. 375 feet, 60 plus years old with a super puppy putter. These guys, and I have never, he visited over the years so many times, and I have never saw him in the house. He was out in their yard all day long throwing a Frisbee back and forth with his daughters. Like he couldn't sit still.
So awesome.
So there's a difference. There's a difference. And it's not, people are like, oh, the difference between the pros and us is that they just execute more often. It's like, no. They throw shots that we can't throw.
They got something that we don't have. It's that. James, we got a question for you actually in the chat. So can you pull down that disc behind you? Can you show it to us? And do you got any, what's the story about this disc on the wall? We know you put these discs on your wall about your story time. So what's going on with this disc? Oof.
Well, most people on our chat would know what that is, in the fan group that we're involved in. This is four-time claw zone, Paul Macbeth overstamp.
Collar shit.
Technically a print. Yeah, this is actually a red carbon fiber. Yeah, hollow bar stamp with red carbon fiber claws. And clear as a bell, and for orange, the only four-time claw I own. And this was given to me by a friend here in Columbus who was just real generous and made a nice trade, and he was just awesome.
Now, did you match your ring to the foil? Was that intentional?
That was not. This is I live in Columbus, Ohio, my friend, and this is the color of the Ohio State University.
Yeah, nobody's perfect.
Well, James White, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And I think it's safe to say by everyone's reaction, and we said this before anyways, I think James is going to be a regular here on the podcast, coming on, telling us some stories. And guys, do James a favor. Head to his YouTube channel. We will post a link after the podcast. And subscribe, hit the little bell that will notify you when James posts a new video. I think he's got 4 episodes out so far, James. Working on the 5th one, probably.
Yes.
So, so check out his disc golf story time. His stories are awesome. And James, we're so lucky to have you out tonight. So thank you so much.
I'm a big fan, James.
Thank
big
you.
Fan.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, James, you can you may depart the Skype, and we will see you soon, my friend.
Thank you.
Take it easy, brother.
Chris Kearns. What's up now, buddy? Oh, now there's like no latency. You're looking so good. You're big again. You can't fit in my breast pocket anymore.
Oh, well, maybe a little more intimidating now. Are we doing we got another giveaway, right?
We do have another giveaway. I'm just, your elbows are
Speaking of.
Screen here we go. Oh.
Boom. I like that.
I'd love it if it wasn't 100% out of focus. Pull it a little closer to your face, maybe. There we go.
Yeah.
Sweet
a little
spot.
sweet spot sticker and a beautiful Paul Macbeth signature ESP Force. And this run is supposed to be ESP Swirl. But as you can see, this is pretty much all orange with a nice money foil. So this thing feels cash money for sure. So thank you, Sweet Spot. I'm a little jealous on whoever gets this giveaway.
And speaking of Sweet Spot, I mean, we love Sweet Spots. So let's toss a little ad up for our sponsor right now. Here we go.
This segment sponsored by Sweet Spot Disc Golf. Sweet Spot, we like you. That's right, guys. This week's podcast was made possible by the cooperation and sponsorship of Sweet Spot Disc Golf. Sweet Spot, we're better than Wolfpack. And Wolfpack Discs. Wolfpack Discs. No, you're not. Stop that.
We love both of our sponsors, Sweet Spot Disc Golf, Wolfpack Discs, and a huge shout out to our producers. The one you don't see, Mr. Sean Dixon, moderating the chat, helps us out, gives us some creative advice, and Mr. Paul Blair, who created all those audio spots.
Yep.
I did the video to accompany them, and huge shout out to Sweet Spot. So what we're going to do right now is we are
I have a good idea for the thing they got to type for it.
All right, what do they got to type?
The vault.
Let's just do vault. So I'm going to make
Vault.
the
There we go.
keyword vault. I'm just getting this going now. So our
for
keyword
those
is
of you that
vault, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. From this point on, anyone that types in vault will be entered into our giveaway for this fantastic disc from Sweet Spot Disc Golf.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, Sweet Spot added a pretty cool feature to their website recently. So they have a section. If you go to their website, you click on the drop down, there's Pro Shop and then Vault. And from time to time, they will upload OOP limited runs from last year that you can't
Tuesdays
get
and
anymore.
Thursdays at 7 p.m.
Yep, and you better be quick because it's catching on.
And I got a disc from the vault last week, and it is on its way to me. It is a disgusting hard foil Malta. And I saw it in there, and I forget. I love all you guys who hit me up in the chat. And they're like, man, there's a first run Malta in the vault. And those first run Maltas, I'd run to get one off the wall if it wasn't too far away. They have this parting line on them. Not in the mold itself, in the plastic. And all of them look like someone dragged a stick through the plastic mold when it was in there, and it's such a unique swirl. And this one was no different. Pink hearts, just like the pink hearts. I'll show it off again one more time. Oh,
There we go.
white claws, and look at those like splotches. That's pretty sick.
You know what's funny is I've gotten 2 discs from their vault.
Yep.
And I didn't buy them from the vault. Other people had already sold them, or they were looking to trade them, and I swooped them up.
That's awesome.
Of course, it was Tour Series Lunas, but yeah.
So we got 13.
I sent pictures to Katie,
13
like, look
people
what I
that have
got.
typed in vault so far. We got 21 people watching. We'll give people a couple more minutes. Let's see that word vault. V-A-U-L-T, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get entered. I see people in the chat that have not entered it. Cody, David, Evan, Kevin, Smads, Max, Nathan Pease.
Get on it.
Get on it. Let's see Vault, V-A-U-L-T. And we'll take this quick time to say we've gotten a couple minutes over, but I think this has gone swimmingly well. I think I've learned some technical stuff, Mr. Kearns. Next week, maybe don't add the Skype guests until they're about to come on, because a lot smoother right now with bandwidth, with not all of them in the Skype chat.
Yeah, it's nice to have them with you because they're awesome people. But, you know, well, it's a work in progress, you know.
It's a work in
We'll get there.
progress. And while we are waiting for a couple more people to type in vault, maybe we'll ask each other one more question each, Mr. Kearns, from those lists we had. So
Okay.
I'll go first here, Mr. Chris Kearns. All right. When you come visit me, is it okay that I don't have an extra bedroom?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's fine.
All right, good. My wife said you can.
Because-
My wife said you can cuddle.
Okay. Well, Kim Scott Wood also said I can crash at his place.
I'm joking. I got a bedroom in the basement. I was just trying to get you come snuggle. You said you were going to before. You picked me as your snuggle.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
No,
Yeah,
that
I'm
wasn't
cool
my
with
real
that.
question. So my real question for you, Chris Kearns, is what is your proudest moment? I know you've done a lot for the community. We talk about you playing. We joke about you collecting Lunas. What's your proudest moment? Just either giving back to the community or something you've done in disc golf that's just really made you feel good after.
Proudest moment in disc golf. I'm gonna go with, actually, it was one of the first tournaments where I was a TD. It was the Michigan Women's Series finale.
Wicked.
So in Michigan, we have a tournament series. It's only for the ladies. We have some amazing FPO players here in Michigan, and they put it together. And we put in a bid to host one of their tournaments and somehow got the finale. And we really wanted to go big. So we actually had a sign-up list for caddies, and we made sure that every single competitor had a caddy. And we had about 65 female competitors there.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of work because we had to do a separate players meeting for the caddies, you know, where it was like, hey, make sure you know what your player wants. They may want to ask you strategy here and there. They may want you to just not talk and carry the bag, or they might encourage you to just have light and non-disc golf conversation. Just make sure you're aware of what they want. So it's important to do that. But afterwards, a bunch of the competitors came up to us and said, like, I felt like a touring MPO player. Like,
so
that's how I
awesome.
felt this weekend. Yeah, and so it was a super proud moment. And that was before, that was like 4 years ago. That was before, people really started sounding off on, diversifying disc golf and respecting her game. And but that was the moment that really I caught the fire for helping be of service to disc golf too. Just seeing all those players feel so special. So, yeah.
That's a good answer, buddy. Good answer. All right, what's my question? I'm ready. Doesn't have to be deep. It can be goofy.
All right,
Let's go.
No. This one is what's your Powerball plan? If you win the Mega Million jackpot.
So I think a lot of us got this plan. So first off, I will build. I'm gonna call it a commune because I think that's like the only word that makes sense. Like it is just gonna be disc golf mecca. We'll have multiple courses, golf carts, rooms for everyone, hotel on the property kind of thing. You guys come, you stay. I think I'll go through the applications to get everyone Nexus cards just to make it super easy to cross the border. I'll pay for that for all you guys. We'll get everyone in the group of Nexus. Well, we only got 5K members. Nexus applications aren't that much. So, dream course, man. Absolutely. The Powerball would be a dream course, just finding somewhere where I can come and have friends and have people there that I pay buttloads of money to maintain it for me, so I don't have to do any of the hard work myself, as rewarding as it is. Michael Warner's there. Jeff Fraser's there. You guys can all come. Like, everyone can come. And
nice.
You know who else can come? The winner of our Sweet Spot Disc Golf Disc. And wouldn't you know, it's Nid. Nid, congratulations after that wicked interview you did with Chris Kearns last week.
Coming at you.
Coming at you, Nid, is this beautiful money foil Force. Am I correct? Force? Yes? Yeah.
Yep. Citrus orange.
Citrus orange money foil Force for Nid. And yeah, this was so awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Kearns. And thank you again to our sponsors, Sweet Spot Disc Golf, Wolfpack Discs. I love them so much, and Paul Blair and myself work so hard on these. I don't think it hurts to show these ads one more time, just because they're so much fun. So let's give our shout out first to Wolfpack Discs.
You know that sound. That's the sound of grabbing up
Wolfpack
at the end of a long week. There's nothing better than cracking open a cold
Wolf?
and feeling that buzz
That's Discraft. Discraft Fuzz.
start to take hold. At the end of a long workday, at the end of a long week, reach for us.
Wolfpack Discs.
We'll be there for you.
Wolfpack Discs. Thank you. And
Gather
you,
round, children. I, Ganfrolf, will tell you a tale of the times before. Of a legendary place, the sweetest spot in all the land, where circles of plastic would appear, glowing from our screens, and with the ritual of the cart, they would appear days later at our doors. The richest colors, the finest discs, and the kindest people. Oh, it truly was a sweet spot for disc golf. Some say this place still exists. Its vault sealed, the treasures glittering.
Whoa, I just cut off the commercial. It was my fault. I got my finger was on the trigger. I was ready to press it at the end. Oh well. We love Sweet Spot. We love Wolfpack. We also love going to sleep. I know Chris Kearns has to work in the morning.
Oh yeah, early day. It's worth it though. It's worth it to come hang out, talk to some beautiful people. And everybody feel free to keep giving us suggestions on what you guys want to see, what you want to hear. This is all for, our page and its many wonderful members. So
Hell yeah.
it's worth it.
Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call it a night. Battery exhausted. That's good timing. From Chris, from Brandon, it's been an absolute fantastic time. Thank you guys so much. We hope everyone has a fantastic evening, and thank you for tuning in to Kern Approved. Chris, take them out.
Oh, yeah.